and I include myself in this, Christians, teachers, all of us, we get confused in our own thoughts sometimes, and we say things that sound good to us in the moment, but they're not really the truth. The Holy, it's like I see people all the time write things about how we don't need to have doctrine, we need to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit. But Jesus called the Holy Spirit the Spirit of truth.
Right.
So if you don't understand that the Holy Spirit a doctrine is contained in the Holy Spirit because he's called the Spirit of truth, I don't know what Holy Spirit you're busy with, but you're not busy with the Holy Spirit Jesus talked about, which is a big part of the problem. It's a big part of the problem, right? And so what I would say is, the Holy Spirit is not at the mercy of our understanding of doctrine in order to be able to minister to us, because within the Holy Spirit is the doctrine that's unto life. And if that Holy Spirit is in us, it can even move when we haven't had our thoughts cleared up yet, right? And we might not be able to explain what happened yet. We just know that all of a sudden we feel embraced or comforted. I think a lot of people would describe that kind of thing when they first called upon the Lord, right? To be saved, right? They couldn't explain exactly what happened, but the Spirit of truth knows, because inside of the Spirit is the doctrine of truth. I mean, Jesus said, I am the truth that is the way unto life. And we're going to talk about how, we don't need doctrine to have fellowship with Jesus. He said he's full of a truth. It says the Logos of God was made flesh in Jesus. We got such a super, I don't even know what I want to call it, charismaniac version of the Holy Spirit that we've lost sight of what Jesus called the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth. And then he described the ministry of the Holy Spirit as that Holy Spirit will dwell in you and guide you into all truth. Do you know what that means? That Holy Spirit will enlighten the eyes of your understanding. It will open your eyes to the truth. Jesus was preaching and teaching doctrine. Is what he was doing the whole time he walked the earth. That's what he did. And so this Spirit of truth contains a doctrine or a truth. And as this truth is ministered to your heart, guess what it does to you? It comforts you. It comforts you. Right?
Right.
Now, when I was a baby Christian, and I don't mean that disparagingly, I think most terms that people think are negative terms, they're not negative at all. There's a person isn't greater because they have maturity. A father in the faith is not greater than a baby in the faith. Right? But when I was a baby Christian, I would say the Holy Spirit did things that I'm describing now before I understood exactly what he was doing. Right? In moments when I needed it the most. Right? What I would add to that, though, is that I think then I suffered more and longer than I had to, because I didn't understand. And what I would say now is that even though the Spirit could come and enlighten me and comfort me without me understanding, what I would say is the comfort is much more stable and much more staying than it was in the past. Because now it's like what the Holy Spirit did to comfort me all those years ago that I didn't know exactly what was happening. It's like I see the freaking thing clearly now. And I find that because it's front and center, it's like a meditation in my heart all the time. It's like I become aware of the conversation the Holy Spirit was having inside of the heart of Jesus. I'm aware of it now, and it causes me to engage in it non-stop in the midst of these things happening. And that saves me from pain much quicker. It brings stability much quicker. It brings soundness to my thoughts much quicker. And I would say that it just manifests in my life easier and more quickly. It doesn't mean that it can't ever. Right? And I've said this before. But in the day, a baby Christian finds themselves in a horrible situation where the death in the world is coming against them. It's just my personal view. I think the Holy Spirit takes them captive. And I don't mean captive in a negative way. I think the Holy Spirit takes them captive in that situation and manifests life out of them in the face of whatever's going on. I think as a sign and a wonder to testify that the life that's in these people is greater than this death that's coming to their house right now. Right? So I don't discount that can happen. But what I'm saying is, even though the Holy Spirit moved in my life all those years ago when I didn't understand anything, and it did sometimes, listen, I'll take what I got now much more. And what I got now is because I have an understanding of who the Spirit is. I've said this a million times, But it's like my wife. If my wife is the greatest dancer in the whole world, but I don't know that she dances, guess what I'm not enjoying with her? Dancing. Well, if the Holy Spirit is the greatest persuader of truth in the whole world, but I'm never knowing that there's a doctrine or a truth contained in that Holy Spirit, then I'm not fellowshipping with that Spirit the way that I could be. Right. Just like I wouldn't be dancing with my wife. The thing that blew my life wide open is when I began knowing the Holy Spirit as the Spirit of truth, instead of just something that I can perform miracles through, and something that I can give somebody a word of wisdom or a word of knowledge through, or something that makes me feel goosebumps or have good praise and worship. No. When I began knowing the Holy Spirit is the Spirit of truth, everything changed in my life. Because I was actually dancing with the Spirit now. That's actually the dance of the Spirit, right? Is knowing the truth. The Father, Son, and Spirit, they're fellowshipping around the Spirit of faith, the truth, right? Not the knowledge of God.
Right. And I think when you